Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan of hotels. Today I got Victor Simmons in the house, VP HR, true leader, leadership coach, management coach, employee coach, C-suite executive coach, crazy background which in HR in all aspects operation of the hotel. And he's going to let us know what we need to do to get a job at a hotel. How are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me today.
Thank you, thank you. Anytime, anytime. Thank you for coming. I know you drove very far from here. How far did you drive?
I think it was 18 minutes, maybe 18 minutes. But I'm super excited to be here. Like I said, this is a great opportunity. I've never done this in person. They've always been on video, so I'm excited. This is the real thing now.
There we go. There we go. You know how it goes in studio. I'm in studio. Tell me about your first promotion. Tell me what that interview was like, and tell me what the promotion was, of course, and what you learned from it.
My very first, I'll tell you two quick. I'll tell you one short one, and then the other one. The first one was it was for a supervisor position. I was working at La Quinta Resort and Club out in California, and I was going to school for hospitality management at Cal Poly Pomona, and I was working in banquets. I was a banquet setup person, and the season was coming to an end and was about to shut down. But I needed to continue to work. I needed my 40 hours. And I saw that there was a supervisor position open, PM supervisor. And I applied with Ingeborg Vorderwinkler, and I got the job. And it was pretty much just telling her that, hey, I'm in hotel management school and I will work very hard. I'll work my tail off for you. And I was hired like that. I was hired like that. My first promotion was, now that I graduated from college, there was an events manager position that was open. And unbeknownst to me, I actually was approached by the GM about a director of housekeeping position that was in Oklahoma. And I'm sitting in California. I couldn't even spell Oklahoma. And the GM came to me and said, hey, there's this opportunity. I know you're graduating. Would you be interested in that? And I said, yeah. I said, okay, well, they want to interview you in Oklahoma. And I said, great, let's do it.
Wow.
And then it dawned on me, wait a minute, I can't even afford a ticket to across town at this point, let alone. And I went back to her and I said, hey, but I can't afford the ticket. Oh, no, don't worry about it. We're going to pay you to fly out there. And I get out there. They put me in a suite. It was just unbelievable for the first time, kid in college, and did this. And actually what occurred was I was offered the job, but I told the GM I needed the weekend to think about it because I was married and had 2 kids, and my wife did not want to leave the area we were in the Palm Springs area.
Oklahoma is an amazing place.
Well, at the time, to be very frank, very candid, I had some reservations myself about Oklahoma at the time.
Especially back then.
Yeah,
things have changed a lot now.
One of the clubs they took me to had one of those instead of a mirrored ball, it was a mirrored saddle that was rotating around. Nice people, but I did have some reservations. Nonetheless, I wanted the opportunity though. I did want the job. But I had interviewed at the Renaissance LAX, huge property, to go into their management training program at the time. And I was trying to decide whether I was going to do that job, which paid a little bit more than the job in Oklahoma. But the GM there was trying to tell me, listen, this money is going to go much further here than it will in California, which he was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. But I had a wife and 2 kids to also consider. And so I simply said, hey, can I have the weekend to think about it? He said, yes, sure. But the GM back at my home hotel was pissed off at me. And she came into me. I was working at the front desk at this time. I was a front desk agent. And she said, I think you're trying to use us as a stepping stone to get a better opportunity, which I absolutely was trying to get the best opportunity, but I was not trying to use them. And I said to her right in that moment, listen, I've been working for you about 3 years. I have my degree and I do deserve the best opportunity, but I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't know what to do, and I'm trying to figure out what to do because my wife does not want to move there, and I'm trying to figure this out. I just need more time. And she said in that moment, well, the offer's off the table.
Wow.
I've already told him you're not taking that job.
Wow.
And it's December and we're slow. I may have to move you to part-time or lay you off.
Now that is very vindictive.
She told me this, general manager of the hotel. And I said, well, I'll do whatever I can to keep my job. And she left me there in the boardroom by myself and walked away. And I thought that was it. And I immediately started looking for job opportunities, interviewing. I was still on the schedule, so I kept showing up. And about 3 days later, the director of convention services came down and asked me to take a walk around the property. And he offered me a job in convention services as an executive meetings manager, which she greenlit. She greenlit that opportunity. So, and that turned out to be more money than the job in Oklahoma and more money than the job in LA. And I didn't have to move anywhere. It turned out to be the best thing
Situation,
for me.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. You know, not everybody starts off in hotels. You know, we get people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, and they're really interested in hospitality and in the hotel business.
Yeah.
The problem is they when they see a listing on like Indeed or one of these websites, they make that listing so complicated that you have to be next to God, have 3 angels backing you.
Yes.
You know, you have to know all these computer skills that no programs nobody ever heard of except us inside the hotels. So, you know, it gets a little bit discouraging when you're applying for these jobs from someone from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So, you know, like what are some of the things that they need to know when they're applying for a hotel position?
Yeah. Now's a good time, I think, more than any for someone that's not in the industry, because we as an industry have been very short-sighted in that we always want someone with that experience. But we have been so short-staffed since the pandemic that there is so much more talent out there that we could pick from, that now is the right time for someone like that you describe. And to beat the algorithm, you need to make sure that you are visible in some fashion. And it is not applying, because not only you have to beat AI as well. In order to do that, you have to be visible. So whatever it is, if you're a finance person, any industry, if you are in revenue management, any industry, you need to make sure that you are the expert in your field and that people know about it. And the only way to do that is to do things like this. You got to be on video, and you need to do not necessarily podcasts. Those are helpful, but you need to be talking about whatever it is your discipline is and videotape that and make sure that you're posting that on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be. YouTube would be another one, but I would say LinkedIn is the number one spot, and be visible, and recruiters will come to you. If you are consistently online and you're consistently talking about the same things, whatever the pain points are for hotels, which we know what that is, it's being short-staffed, and we need people to solve problems. So talk about the problems that you solve and just continue to do that over and over, and recruiters are going to come to you. If you show that you know how to solve problems and that you have some authenticity and credibility to you, they'll come to you. Apply. You still got to apply so that they see you. But number one is be out there, be visible.
I like beating the algorithm. I think that'll be a great book idea. How to get hired by beating AI.
Yeah. Well, somebody, if you know Bruce Jordan and I talked me into writing a book around that. That's next year sometime. But I wrote a book about how to AI proof your career. And it's some of those things I just mentioned, but it's also, you got to have, and I've been talking about this everywhere I go, you got to have emotional intelligence. So you got to show that you have that because that's what we need. We need somebody. There's so much hotels are under so much pressure right now by the guests, by our owners. And so you got to be able to be pressure tested, and you got to show how you can do that.
Now, you've, as a former HR manager, director, former HR VP, you've hired quite a few people that didn't have any hotel or hospitality experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that really stood out for you when you had made those hires?
Yeah. I'm looking for someone that's got great personality, someone that shows work ethic, someone that has emotional intelligence is paramount for me. Someone that knows how to hold people accountable and hold people accountable in a way that they are still going to get the job done, as opposed to being in conflict. Someone that's not afraid of conflict and knows how to be able to navigate through that. Someone that can build relationships. You got to be able to do all of those things, particularly in hospitality. You're under fire all the time from all different directions. And you got to show that you know how to be able to do that with grace.
Yeah. I think it's great that a lot of people from outside the industry, they're looking to come in. But a lot of them, they really don't know their true strengths until they're put in that position, and they find out, hey, you know what, this is what I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. This business is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the faint of heart. So you gotta know what you're getting into. So make sure that you're not just looking at, those commercials that show what it's like to travel, or that you're someone who likes to travel. You got to know what it's like to be on the other side. So interview people, reach out, connect with people that are in the business and have conversations. I hired a guy in sales. He was a great salesperson, but he did a lot of research before he came to me. So he was already speaking the language. So make sure you understand the ins and out of the business before you get in front of an interview.
I actually had it on the flip side where someone from the outside will come into the business, and they don't understand why it's so archaic, especially when it comes to like the systems, because we're like we're like still stuck in the 90s into the computer system. So they're like, why would anybody pick the system? This system still looks like this is not even Windows 95. This is DOS. Like, how am I going to check somebody in with this?
Right. And multiple systems at that too, multiple old systems at that. And a lot of companies that I've worked for, you got, 15 different logins for different things. Yeah.
And they all do different things when they're used to working with one system that just does everything.
Yeah.
So that tend to confuse a lot of people when they first start working in hotels.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you got to, again, it's all understanding how to deal with pressure, for sure.
Man, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're dealing with new hires and they're finished their onboarding process? And
keeping a retention is the number one thing that always scares me, always concerns me, is once you get a new hire, because there's so much effort that goes into finding that right candidate. And when you find that right candidate, they're very bubbly, effervescent, they're very smart, they're very, right where you need them to be. Now you got to keep them in the building.
yeah.
And there's a number of things that need to happen. So that always concerns me about how do we retain them?
When they first start, like if I was someone that was just looking to get in the door, because you have people that they want to get hired for different reasons. Like someone wants to not work night because they can't work during the daytime. This is the only time they're available to work. They have to go to school. They have to do something else. They have to run their business during the daytime.
Yeah.
Or they work the front desk second shift because this is the best shift for them to work, because they have to,
They're in school,
Yeah.
nursing, what have you. Yeah.
Exactly. So like if you're just getting into this business, what do you recommend as far as shift wise? Like, how should they pick their shift? How should they pick their role?
Well, I think, and I know a lot of hotels are still trying to figure this out, because the number one thing that the employee, the candidate is looking for is flexibility in scheduling. And on our side, we're still too rigid. if you ask me. We're still too rigid. I need them to be able to work any shift. I'm not hiring them unless they can work any shift. And that's not going to work. That is not going to work. You have if you want to fill those positions, you're going to have to be flexible. And I think we have to figure out how we have figured out how to yield manage the heck out of our rooms. We need to figure out how to yield manage the schedule. And with AI, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to be able to do that. And I say that you take what Uber has done, what Lyft has done, and how they've monetized that particular platform for the customer that wants a ride at any time. We need to be able to do the same thing for employees that want to work at any time. Maybe it's not there's the infamous AMs versus the PMs, but maybe there's mid shifts. Maybe there's micro shifts. I think that's something that we need to investigate, tinker around with, and figure out.
I had one employee, their kid was having trouble in school, and of course she was always at work, and she was going to quit. She was like, I just can't do this anymore because my son is just having trouble. So I said, you know what, let's do this. Let's change your shift around. We'll give you 3 days on, 4 days off. She's like, how are you going to do that? I was like, you'll work 2 doubles in a row, and then you work 8-hour shift, and then you have 4 days off where you can spend time with your son and do what you got to do at home. And she said, I think I can make that work.
Love it.
I
love it. It is that kind of thinking that we have to be able to do. The old world thinking is, oh no, I got to do the same for everybody. No, you do not. You do not. Absolutely. I would be singing to the rafters if you were in my hotel and that happened. I would be shouting that out and making sure that when you're working with a schedule, that's what you need to do when you're working with a schedule. You need to do that.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's I don't know if we're changing, but we're just not changing quick enough and fast enough to keep up with all these other industries that are out there that, people can work from home, and, they're remote, and unfortunately a lot of us just don't have that opportunity in this business.
Yeah.
Because we have to be present. We got to be there for the guests. So.
Yeah. Yes, our business is 24/7, but we got to get out of that old world thinking and be able to be very creative in that aspect. Same thing when it comes to working from home. I know that, operations has issues with folks that are being able to work from home, but you then move into a role that allows you to work from home. Then if you're upset about it, then move into that discipline so you can work from home.
Yeah.
We need it. And if you're the leader saying, no, I want everybody there, why? Why? Tell me why.
That is a very good question. That is a very good question. Why can't? Because I went into one hotel, and they had like front desk kiosks, and they had people from overseas checking in the guests, and they had a video screen, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I think we have to look at those things. I am not a fan of that. When I walk into a hotel, I want to be greeted by a person, not a kiosk.
Me too.
But there are times when that may be helpful to me, and we need to be able to figure that out in terms of maybe there's 2 opportunities. Maybe there is a kiosk for those that are okay with that, but you still have. And you are still saving some labor dollars because now you don't have, instead of having 3 front desk agents, maybe you have 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great conversation around AI and making sure that we're utilizing that to our advantage, not just by having a kiosk. Okay, great, we're having a kiosk, but now can a agent who is there be able to utilize AI so that they're making a better experience for the guests when they come in? So it's not just, okay, we're losing an agent because of AI. Maybe we're gaining a better agent because we're leveraging AI in a different way.
For sure. Man, I tell you, don't be scared to apply. You go ahead and get hired. You already heard what he's looking for when he's hiring someone with no hotel experience. So, just give it a shot, and don't let the language of the job confuse you, because I think that happens to a lot of us. Like when they read this,
The job description,
they're like, I can't do any of this. And
Yeah, here's another tip. That's I'm glad you brought that up, because when you look at the job description, people have a tendency to look at that thing, particularly let's just call it like it is, women and usually people of color will look at a job description and they think that they have to hit every single thing on that, every bullet point. And majority of the time, the job description is outdated, antiquated, or most of the time there are 3 or 4 things that are the main things that we're looking for in that particular job, or it may not even be on there. So I would say, don't be afraid by what you see on there. Just make sure, again, that you understand what that role is. And then talk about the soft skills that you bring to the table that I talked about earlier. Do you know how to solve problems? Do you have emotional intelligence? What do you understand about branding? Because that is paramount these days as well. So what do you understand about branding? What's your brand look like? Can you talk about how your brand is cohesive with the brand that you're applying for? Can you articulate and have a conversation with someone? So work on those things and still apply despite all of the things that you see on there. Now you need to make sure you cannot be someone like me that cannot add and apply for a finance job. Do not do that. Do not do that. But if it's a job that's in your discipline, in your wheelhouse, then absolutely apply despite all of the things despite a few things that you see on there that you don't understand. Make sure you figure out what it is.
I mean, I'm not sure if this is like a new thing, but I remember back in the day, there were like 1 or 2 interviews and that's it. And these other jobs, there's like 7, 8, 9, 10 interviews. Like,
Terrible.
what is going on?
Terrible.
What is going on?
I have heard about these, and I've seen them in my last organization, where it didn't get to 7 or 8. But when I started seeing a 4th time that they're coming back, I would work on trying to shut that down, because we're going to lose the candidate when that happens. And it's nonsense, because this is what they're saying is that it is an employer's market because there are so many candidates out there. Yeah, that's true. But you're destroying your brand when you treat somebody like that, when you're bringing them back over and over again. And then you do that with three people. And so 2 of those people aren't going to get the job after doing 7 or 8 interviews.
Yeah.
That's terrible to your brand.
What's the normal amount of interviews you think will probably be in the best interest of the company?
For me, I only need 1 interview.
Okay.
I only need 1 to have a 45-hour conversation with someone, and that's all I need.
Okay.
And I understand that in a hotel, you may bring, the hiring manager may bring that person in and interview them. And then they may bring them back a second time for their boss, but that is also not healthy either. Make sure the boss is there that day, or do something online so that you're limiting the times that they're coming into the building. It should only be an initial screen.
Okay.
Where you're having a conversation, making sure that they have the skills that you're looking for. And then you bring them in for a formal interview. So 1 screen and then 1 formal interview is really, there are times, certain disciplines where maybe you want to see their portfolio, a graphic designer. Yeah, okay. But you could still look at that online. You don't need to bring them in to do that. So
now, what is it like, not having any hospitality experience or hospitality experience, and you're applying for a manager's role or a director's role at a hotel on the other side? Now, of course, you have the line level side, but the management side, you're going into a whole nother industry that you don't know anything about. And the first thing that these employees are going to ask is, hey, what hotel did you come from, or what restaurant did you come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're talking about manager, it might be hard for a director in a property. I think at the property level. If we're talking corporate level, then I think you can get away with that. And I think that does happen. That's the common complaint from the property level, right? Is that someone at corporate, they hadn't even worked in a hotel. That's the common complaint. But I would say for someone from outside of our industry that's looking to come in, and you're a man in a management position, you got to be able to speak that language. So I would say make sure again that you are interviewing people before you get into that. Before you have your interview, you should be interviewing other people within the industry. Not easy to do, but you need to reach out to at least 10 people to get 2 or 3 that are going to respond. 10 people on LinkedIn that are going to maybe get 2 or 3 people to respond to you. 10, 15 people to get 2 or 3 responses. So I would do that and interview those folks to make sure that you are speaking the same language, that you understand the nuances. We are very acronym heavy, so make sure that you understand those things. And that, again, it's one thing to be a traveler, but it's another thing to be on the other side. So make sure you understand those things, and then just be good at those people skills, those soft skills, because then you could build relationships with those people that once you get there, who are going to look at you with a side eye, like you came from a different industry. But I've seen it happen where people are successful. You just got to make sure that you do those things.
Okay. Nice. We're gonna wrap it up. Listen, how can everybody get in touch with you?
LinkedIn probably be the best place, but I'm also on victoriousendeavorsconsulting.com. And then I'm on all the socials. So anywhere you are, you'll probably be able to find me.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you for tuning into another episode. This is Bruce Jordan of Michael Jordan Hotels. I'm signing out. Hey, what's going on? It's Bruce Jordan, the hotel revenue expert. I just want to take a quick second to thank you for watching this video. If you could just do us a big favor and just subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more videos like this, more information, great information about hotels. I'm also the author of the Hotel Revenue Bible. You can get that book on hotelrevenuebible.com. And we are here to answer all your questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot us a quick text at 321-321-2002. That's 321-321-2002. And you can book a revenue call. Go to hotelrevenuecall.com and we can answer any and all your questions. Just make an appointment with me. You'll do one-on-one with me. You'll be able to do one-on-one with me, and we could go ahead and get all your questions answered and see if you have any revenue issues that needs to be resolved. Talk to you soon. Thank you again. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you.